What if the world just reset? So I have all the continents over here in this new world, and the different colors represent different alliances, like orange alliance, the yellow alliance. You get the point. So let's just jump straight into it. So here we have the pink alliance in the corner over here. They have a couple of countries, and they expand two continents. Problem here is they are a monarchy. So this is quite popular in this part of the alliance, but this part just kind of just says we don't want to be a monarchy. Like being a monarchy kind of just meh. No. So this little uprisings begin to happen in the country, saying that they don't want to be in the alliance, and they did try to diplomatically tell we just leave the alliance, but the other members said no. So they've resorted to an uprising. So in the north of all these three countries, the rebellions begin to happen, and they slowly pick up more and more territory, and they split these two countries from accessing each other. And slowly but surely, this country is taken over, and this activates this country's alliance to intervene with military action. But they were caught off guard. So in the meantime, while they're sending their troops over, these countries' rebellions begin to happen, and they get even more territory, slowly but surely. But this country's not having it, and they send more and more reinforcements, and eventually they are able to push them back just slightly in this country in the middle here, and they are able to re-access the front lines. But that's about it. That's all they can really do for now, and it stays like this for quite a little while until eventually the alliance picks up steam. Uh, or yeah, the traders are the whatchamacallit, the uprising, yeah. The uprising picks up steam, and they take over a large portion of this big country here, and they keep going, and since they have such huge numbers and they're accessing the military equipment that their country had, they don't stand a chance. And slowly but surely, they do keep taking over, and this part of the country surrenders. And something similar happens here. The uprising kind of just happens. They fully take over this country, but they do not officially surrender. And this country, realizing it's all alone and probably has no hope, also decides to surrender. Let's look at the peace treaty. Here's the peace treaty. So we have all these countries starting their own new alliance. The Purple Alliance, they call it, very original name. And this country does join the alliance, and now that this alliance has been very, very weakened, and now they're still a monarchy, but they're not as strong. Now, in this continent here, we have pretty much half divide of these two alliances, the Red Alliance and the Yellow Alliance. And they both have very different values and ideologies, and they try to be peaceful, but like let's just say some disputes happen here over some territory claims, and the skirmish happens in the border. No one knows who really started it, but this engages war between these two alliances, and now that war has begun, the Red Alliance decides to, push in. So the Red Alliance pushes into the smallest country in the alliance here, just thinking that it's the weakest, and they just want to split the alliance in two from this halfway point, and that is their plan. So they begin to push in from here, and they take over the majority of the country. Majority of the country, and it eventually this country is forced to surrender. Okay. So this country has surrendered after the first couple of days, but the Yellow Alliance has a trick up their sleeve. So they know that the weakest country is here, and they have the exact same plan. But since the weakest country is not in the middle, they decide to do two fronts. So the first front over here is just gonna push in, and they're gonna try and just take over this weakest country over here. And they begin to push in from the south, and since the majority of the red troops are in the middle of the alliance, there's not too much resistance, and eventually the capital of this country is taken, and this small little country in the Red Alliance is forced to also surrender. Now, they also use this as an area to push in more into this country over here, and yeah, and over here in the middle of the country. They are going to try and split the front lines, although it is not very successful as there are a lot of troops here, and they just make a slight little bulge. Now back onto the Red Alliance. They want to act defensively, but they also want to keep their interests here, and so they kind of do both. So let's just go over here and yeah. So they begin to split this alliance in half, and they almost reach the coast, but just barely. They fail to reach it after they encounter a lot of resistance, and they just use this country that they just taken over as an area to expand. And now the Yellow Alliance is on its kind of final bricks here in this area, as a lot of the troops have start retreating, and they are not able to counter the Red Alliance's strength over here. But they are still connected, although barely. And they do try to act defensively. This country's capital, this small one, is around here. So they're gonna try and reclaim that. They make a huge bulge over here. They take battle. They liberate a little bit of their country, and they do retake the capital. And they split the front lines in half. They are able to encircle these troops here, but these troops are able to mount a defense, and they're just barely alive. Now we're just gonna make this a little bit more pretty, and there we go. And they try to push back at the bulge here, and they do so successfully, although it is still not that much. So this continues on for a little bit more time until becomes a stalemate, and neither country is able to really do anything. So the Red Alliance does try its best though, and it is able to split the Yellow Alliance in half, and it keeps pushing in more and more and more. And then they're also able to destroy this little bulge over here, and now the Yellow Alliance is in big trouble as they can't really help each other through the ground because they're not connected anymore, and it's just one big mess. Now this country, the troops here are forced to surrender, and a little bit more starts to happen as more liberations begin to happen, and now there's not that much left of the Yellow offensive. And then the Yellow Alliance decides to surrender. So let's look at the peace treaty. Here is the peace treaty. So this country here is forced to join the Red Alliance, and these two countries are the only ones left in the Yellow Alliance, and they are forced to secede some territory. As you can see, this country made some gains, so did this country, and now the Yellow Alliance has been severely weakened. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you. Bye. Part 2 coming out soon, I hope.
Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah. Drink. Swalla la la.